Marcy Wu. This character definitely sent us on a wild roller coaster of emotions throughout the entirety of the series. It's no secret that Marcy has become, and is, probably an Amphibia's fan favorite character. One thing, she's relatable, she's adorable, she's a lot of things that are likable. Unfortunately, there was a lot of things that happened to her that, well, you know exactly what I'm going to be talking about. But first, an important message from me. Look right up there! An asteroid is about to kill us all! Quick, hit the subscribe button. It's the only way we can stop the asteroid. And also, share the video. If you share the video, we can increase the amount of survivors. Do it for every puppy and kitten on the planet. Hit it! Hit the subscribe button! For everyone who has seen the show, and I assume you have, Marcy definitely went through it on her adventures in Amphibia. Both physical and mental. I mean, the first time she got into Amphibia, she fell down a flight of stairs and broke her leg, though she took that in great stride, to be fair. But everything else that came after was absolutely traumatizing to both her and to the audience. And you may wonder, what did she do to deserve such punishment? It's simple, really. She did not want to lose the people she loved. Yep. Now, of course, I know there's more to it than that, but that's the basic gist of it. Okay, let's start a little bit at the beginning. Marcy, she grew up with Anne and Sasha, and Anne and Sasha was basically her sisters to her. She loved them to bits, like they were more than family. They did everything together. They pulled pranks, they had sleepovers, and Marcy tried to share many of her interests with them, though unfortunately they didn't seem to care all too much, which kinda adds a little damper on things, but she always smiled and she still loved them and always wanted to be with them. So when her family told her that they were going to move because her father got a job out of state, she freaked out. She was about to leave everything she has ever known and the friend she holds so dear. So what did she do next? Well, earlier before she went home and got the bad news, she was at the library and she picked up a journal that looks very familiar, and inside it was very strange and exotic creatures that seem almost fantasy, and one fantasy looking thing was a music box that can transport you to another world. Sounds exciting. She didn't take it seriously, but she thought it was cool. And after the bad news was given, she finds the music box just sitting in a shop, in an antique shop above a dresser. And she thought, wouldn't it be amazing to have this little music box send me and the girls to another world where we can always be together? And her wish came true. They ended up in Amphibia, in separate places in Amphibia, but they were in Amphibia all the same. Now, in Marcy's journal, the journal said that she had a grand adventure. She made new friends, she fought pirates, a giant snake, and so many cool and awesome things that honestly deserve its own video, and it will get its own video, hint hint. But in between these pages of adventures were laments of guilt. She felt so bad that she tricked the girls into a new world. She was worried because she didn't know if they were okay. She didn't know where they were. And in one page where she poured out her heart over a game of flipboard to Andreas, yep, she was just guilt-ridden. She was crying. The actual page in the journal is stained with her tears, and it's understandable, but we'll get to that. Now, eventually, she meets up with the girls, and she is very disappointed that they're fighting. She wants them to stay friends, but they are at each other's necks like Megatron and Optimus Prime. And it gets worse and worse. It gets a little better, and then it gets worse again. Then on top of that, she has a little secret that Andreas wants to use the music box to, quote-unquote, travel the universe together and have endless adventures with her friends, so they can always be together. But it turns out that her lovely little Newt father figure was a jerk and evil and a maniac. And he spilled the beans that it was Marcy's fault that they were stuck in Amphibia, and now she had to face the music in a very, very harsh way. All that guilt came out. She tried to justify herself. She tried to say the things that she wanted to say, that she was feeling, but everything just came crumbling down. She was crushed, she hurt her friends, and now she was here on her knees crying and begging for forgiveness. And then, you know what else happened to her?
Marcy, hurry! I just need to...
Now, look what you've made me do.
I'm sorry for everything. Marcy!
True colors, ladies and gentlemen. So, now that we've seen everything that she's been going through, she didn't deserve any of that, let's be real. She went through so much. Granted, it was wrong to trick them in the first place, but she didn't think it would actually work. Using the music box to trap the girls in another world is the equivalent of wishing upon a star, wishing your parents away so you can have fun all the time, having your parents get abducted by giant green boogers, and then having them sacrificed to a chicken kaiju. Off the top of my head example. And yeah, I was wrong that she didn't tell them the truth, early on, but can you imagine how they react? She trapped them in another world. Granted, it was, I don't know if you could call it an accident. It was kind of on purpose, but also kind of not. And yet, she put them through so much. Can you imagine how difficult it is to say, hey girls, all your life-threatening danger you've been going through, that I separated you from your family? Yeah, that was me. Ugh, I kind of wanted to do it, but at the same time, I didn't mean to. You think that's easy to do? None of this warrants anything she went through. This poor girl. But through the pain, she fought by their side. She wiped her tears and fired her crossbow and fought against the tyrant that betrayed her and was threatening her best friends. And when Sprig was thrown out the window, she did not hesitate and jumped down after him and saved his life. And during all of this, she grabbed the music box and rushed to get her friends home. And even after she thought she was about to take her last breath, her last words as she shed tears was, "I'm sorry for everything." This girl has a really big heart. She's kind. There's no hint of malice in her. And she went through all of this because of one stupid mistake. And I don't mean stupid on her part. I'm saying stupid because of the circumstances of how it happened. But thankfully, Andreas does have a heart somewhere in that mechanical body and put her in a healing chamber. Unfortunately, he was in a losing argument with the Corps on whether or not to use Marcy as their next vessel. And, well, you know what happens. And even before that, when they free her and try to save her, she went through some more trauma. And you can see her guilt of betraying her best friends. And her greatest fear is them rejecting her, throwing her away. This is so sad. And then, of course, yeah, you know what happened. She turns into Darcy in this horrible, horrible turn of events. Through the entirety of being Darcy, Marcy was trapped in her own little mind palace that trapped her by giving her all her wants, her little matrix paradise. It even gave her her friends. And her friends in this little fake digital prison wanted exactly what she wanted. And she knew that it wasn't real because they don't want what she wanted. And it hurts. Now, it's absolutely not wrong of her to want to share the things that she loves. Her movies, her games, the characters that she is very invested in, her hobbies. It's not wrong to want to share that with her best friends. But it is wrong to force them to like it. She really wanted them to be happy in Amphibia and maybe go on grand adventures throughout the multiverse. That's a dream come true for her, but not a dream come true for Anne and Sasha. And a lot of bad things were happening to Anne and Sasha. So she had to defeat her worst enemy, which is her wants and desires. Now, it's not completely her fault. Like Anne said, they ignored her interests and her needs. But Marcy had to push what she wanted away to set herself free from her own torment. Now, this is what I admire about this character the most, where Sasha had this great character arc from being the antagonist to the hero that we all love, to Anne being irresponsible, to making very adult decisions. And then we have Marcy. With everything she went through, she could have skipped Darcy and just gone through her own villain arc. She could have said, everything is unfair. I'm losing everything. Everything is crashing down around me. Kind of like Andreas. He lost everything in a matter of a day. And look what happened to him. But Marcy, she maintained her good heart. Despite everything, she maintained her integrity, that she is a good person and that she loves her friends. And I think the best example is how she treated Andreas. She never yelled at him. She didn't give him the silent treatment. She said, "Goodbye, Andreas." And even he looked shocked. Let's be real, before his redemption and right after he did you know what to Marcy, the entire fandom was going for his head. They wanted him dead. But the person that they were angry for never had hatred in her heart. Not even for him. That's just a really good character. It's just a really sweet, lovable character. Okay, if anyone's wondering, spoilers for Marcy's journal. She gets physical and mental therapy, and she has a clean bill of health. So, A-okay. And before Marcy moved, Anne and Sasha played a game of creatures in caverns with her. They even offered to keep the campaign going, but she knew that they weren't 100% into it, so she didn't force them. So, her friends are taking full interest in what she does, but she doesn't shove it down their throat. So, they're doing a lot better. Marcy didn't deserve anything that she went through, but it was a learning experience, to say the least. And at least they came out better than what they were before. So, take that how you want. Alright, see you next time. Bye.